Yeah, I'm a conversational UX designer with WUI agency with a focus on sound design. So I'm coming from a human-computer interaction background, but really focused on, okay, how can we use sound? There are some parts where we use sound to give feedback and to enrich the experience. But I'd like to talk about another kids skill and how we used game-based learning approaches to, make this skill as engaging and fun as possible for the children. The skill is called Rechnen mit Conny. It's calculating with Conny. For everyone who doesn't know Conny, it's a very popular figure amongst children, and there's TV shows and audiobooks. So it's a brand that's already established we had the opportunity for the Carlsen Verlag to piggyback on this brand and design and implement a skill for this. So when talking about game-based learning, let's first try to get a common understanding of what a game is, even though there are some philosophers that say a game is not definable. Some say, like Suits, a game is a voluntary attempt to overcome unnecessary obstacles. I don't want to get into the discussion of, which I think is very true for most of the games, or all of the games maybe. If you take soccer, for example, so people decided it's fun and engaging to have a ball and kick the ball. And then at some point they decided, okay, it's more fun to kick it from one side to the other. And then they said, okay, maybe that's too easy. So they added more players and they said, you can only touch it with a foot. This is not historically correct, by the way, right? So please don't pinpoint me on this. Exactly. And then you add another obstacle, you put the goals, and then you say, well, it's easy to score a goal. We put a goalkeeper in, etc. You see where this is going, right? But a game is also something everyone agrees on these rules, and they participate, hopefully voluntarily, in these games. There are some TV shows, the Tentacle game, where it's maybe not so voluntary after all. A game is also a series of interesting decisions. This is a quote by from Sid Meier. Those of you who like the Civilization game series probably know him, and this is also true. So the players, a game lives from the interactions of the players, and they make decisions every time. Mostly interesting. I mean, this is also a quote, I think, which could go into the other direction of not only the players, but also the game designers who make interesting decisions to give a shape to the boundaries of the games like this. So what has this to do with our learning skill, right? So we wanted to make it as fun and as engaging as possible. So in game-based learning, luckily we were not the first ones to think about this, and not surprisingly. But we wanted to look at what makes games so much fun. What are things that we could use in this learning skill that could help us to drive engagement and have children come back to the skill and actually have fun learning, calculating. This is interactivity. We already had this point. So players have agency and control, at least to some extent, within the boundaries of the game to navigate. There are challenges and there are rewards that come with overcoming these challenges, both things that are motivating. A game should be immersive. So ideally, you feel like you're entering a new world and maybe escape the one that you're in. And they should have at least some way to explore. So this aspect of agency comes into that play as well. Of course, these are not interdependent, and these are not the only things why games are fun, but some of the main things that we looked at. So now we thought, okay, how do we combine this with our learning skill? And as I said, we were not the first ones to think about this. So we looked at some of the principles put forward by James Paul Gee, who's one of the bigger names in terms of game-based learning approaches. And before we get into some of the specifics and some audio examples and how we try to use some of the principles that he defined to implement in our skill, this is just a short description of what the skill actually is. I said Rechnen with Conny, it's called. It's aimed at preschool and elementary school aged kids. And they should learn counting, comparing numbers, and adding numbers up to range from 0 to 20. So nothing above that. And yeah, we produced this together with the Carlsen Verlag for the Carlsen Verlag. We had the children's books author also creating the story, and then we interweave these things into a whole voice experience. And we did also the sound design for this, and it's available on. Thank you, Tim, for introducing all of this already in the talk before, because now I can just say Kids Plus, and I know you all know what it is. And it's available behind this paywall on Kids Plus. All right, now let's get into how we try to use some of the principles explicitly in our skills. So we wanted to boost curiosity and motivation to learn, right? Exploration principle says, okay, we should give them at least some form to explore the game world and try to get them into the world as well. So this is something that we use to start the skill.
Hey, ich bin Conny. Komm, wir erkunden die Burg Drachenzahl. Warst du eigentlich schon mal auf einer Burg?
One in the Zoom conference could hear it as well. So this is the beginning, and this is a great example of what you mentioned as well. This is a question we don't care what they say. Our only goal is to get them into the mood. Okay, thinking about, okay, what could it be like on a castle? Maybe they've been already. What are they imagining? Trying to trigger this. Oh, we are on a medieval castle. Okay, what can I do? I want to first see whatever. To get this. This is the aspect of immersiveness. So we wanted to build it a secure and meaningful learning environment as well. So we didn't want to just have them count from 1 to 10, but we wanted to interweave it into the setting of this medieval story, situated, meaning, principle, meaning. I mean, this can be kind of seen as a Textaufgabe. Which is right. It's not just add 3 and within a different context. So you're also learning like problem-solving skills or critical thinking skills, and that's something that we try to do to some extent also in this skill. Let me just show some examples. If you cannot hear it on for the people online, just scream. Okay, perfect.
Direkt hinter der Zugbrücke liegt ein Riese und schläft. Zählst du mit, wie oft er schnarcht? Los geht's! Ist das heiß! Wie oft spuckt der Drache im Burghof Feuer? Zähl mit! Los geht's!
For every game, we had a different, so that it doesn't repeat itself too much. We had different scenarios, and these were 2 examples. By the way, I think the giant snoring that was already motivating enough. There, when we did the user testings, when the giant started to snore, some children were already giggling. I don't know if it helps with the counting, though. Yeah, coming to the part challenges, and there we can hear some of the sounds. It's not the giant here, but of course a game should well, a learning experience and a game should also be challenging. It shouldn't be too easy, it shouldn't be too hard, even though some people of the this is really it's a thing on Dark Souls series. It's a computer game, extremely hard. I don't enjoy playing it, but apparently there's a lot of people who like to play. So maybe this, yes. So for exactly this this target group, maybe very challenging things are good. I think for the children, it's good to have kind of a mixed approach there. So right now I play you 2 examples of. So there were different difficulty levels for the different games, and so when the child plays the game, they at some point they are asked, so was this easy or was it not easy? And not only the ones that were performing well or bad. So maybe teaching also a little bit about self-assessment. So after this question, then there were different difficulty levels, and I play now the more difficult level where we only where we didn't only have one type of sound, but also a different one. So the exercise is to count the dog barks, but there are other sounds in between which you shouldn't count, because your task is to count the dog barks, right? And the second example I play is the one that we've shown. Okay, if children struggled with counting, then Conny would count with them together.
Im Thronsaal bellt ein Hund. Zählst du mit, wie oft? Los geht's!
Numbers 0 to 20, because it brought me to my someone growing up with a calculator. It brought me to my limits. Play the second sound now as well.
Im Thronsaal bellt ein Hund. Zählst du mit, wie oft? Los geht's! 1, 2, 3.
Many times the dog barked. All right, let's go to the next principle. Rewards. Progression principle, challenges is the first thing, but you also want to be rewarded when you complete the challenge, right? So we put the scene in the beginning with, okay, you have to solve 5 riddles, and after then 5 exercises, you will get these small rewards, which will be different for each game, and which would be short audio snippets. And let me just play this for you as well.
Fein, jetzt zählen wir. In der Bibliothek von Burg Drachenzahl soll es spuken. Lass uns herausfinden, ob das stimmt. Auf dem Weg dorthin müssen wir 5 Rätsel lösen. Los geht's!
It's 5 riddles, so that's the progression time. Once you've completed these 5, then something else would happen. It's some form of foreshadowing.
Da ist auch schon die Bibliothek. Das ist aber kalt hier und ganz schön unheim.
Endlich kommt mal jemand vorbei. Da kann ich gleich meinen Lieblingswitz erzählen. Was benutzt ein Gespensterkind bei Prüfungen? Logisch. Einen Spukzettel.
Settles in a learning game. No, but yeah, these are like small audio snippets with the jokes or facts, all situated in this medieval setting, with the aim of being kind of a rewarding thing. This is also a great example again to I think we cannot say this enough in the UX space, to do research and testing frequently. So we did this also with just separate sounds. And I felt a little bit bad because I was the one working on the sound primarily, and we had reports coming in from a child, not wanting to listen to the things anymore because it got so scared because of the early ghost themes that it started crying. So felt a little bit bad, but it was a very good signal for me to make the ghost less realistic and scary. And more appropriate for preschool and early elementary school children. And we're coming to the last point, of course, active engagement in learning. I mean, throughout the skill, it would be a back and forth between Conny and the children, between the exercises and some intermediate questions of, okay, there's a lot going on in this castle, right? And then again, like an open question, care what the children were. But after playing the first game, we also give the children the freedom to at least choose. Okay, do you want to count? Do you want to compare the numbers? Do you want to add numbers? So giving them some form as well. Okay, I really want to the prompt for that.
Was möchtest du jetzt machen? Wähle aus. Wollen wir zählen oder vergleichen oder plus rechnen?
This next exercise. And yeah, that's basically it for the frontal presentation. We have an Alexa device here, and we have a version of the skill that you can try out if you want to improve your counting and yes, comparing numbers skills. Yeah, thank you very much. Exactly. Get scared. Laugh at the giant.